They say more money, more problems. Bring on the problems.
All right, guys, a few nights ago, I had one of these late night conversations with myself. It's the kind of thing where you just get a ton of clarity and understanding about what you need to be doing with your life. I was in a spot where, honestly, I just felt kind of confused about the direction I needed to go in my life. I felt like there were multiple paths available for me, and this conversation and the question that I asked myself genuinely cleared everything up. It gave me massive clarity on what I need to do with my life in this phase. It has caused me to rethink things and decide what my priorities are. It means that I'm even going to be changing the style of content that I'm going to be making on this channel. It's caused me to start working on a supplement business and a number of other things that I'm going to be focusing on moving forward. And this is an extremely important question for you to ask yourself if you want to make sure that you actually max out your life, live a life that you're proud of, that lives up to your potential, so that you don't end up at 35, 40 years old, full of regret, looking back at a life and wishing you had done a lot more with it. So right now I'm getting ready to head to the gym, and we're going to talk about it on the way there. All right, guys, we have arrived at the gym. I was going to record this topic on the way to it. I thought that was going to be kind of cool, but the camera mount that I bought sucks, and so the camera kept falling over, so that's going to have to get returned, but whatever. Pre-workout's kicked in now, so I'm ready to yap for a bit. So the topic of this video really is about what is possible for men if they really just get their shit together and stop screwing up their lives pretty much. And so going back to what I was telling you about with the conversation that I had with myself a few nights ago. So I'm in a spot in my life now where I'm 28 years old. My career's going well. I'm making six figures. I'm in great shape. I've got goals. And I was getting to this point in my life where it was like, as First Man has talked about in some of his videos, he's talked about the idea of a stick or twist moment, meaning one of these moments where it's like you've made it to a certain level of success in your life and you reach this point where it's now almost like, do you want to cash out or do you want to go again? And I was in one of these spots where I was like, you know what, like I could get an attractive girlfriend, wife right now. I could, make multiple six figures as a real estate agent for the rest of my life and be fucking set and not have to stress about this stuff and kind of like cruise on other business options, maybe buy stocks and real estate and, have a decent life for myself. I'm certainly not going to be a failure at this point. And so I was conflicted because I had that in my mind, that idea of like the things that I could have right now that sounded pretty nice and pretty chill. And I have a decent social life of people who are kind of in that same boat and things like that. And then I have this other voice in my head, which is always telling me about like what's possible for myself and always thinking about something bigger and always thinking about, those things that I truly dreamed about my whole life, the fast cars and, the mansions on the lakes. And it's not just about material possessions, but really it's just about like seeing what your life could be if you really just got your shit together and went for it all the fucking way. And so I was sitting around and I asked myself this question. So like I said, I'm 28 years old. I asked myself, what would the 32-year-old me want me to do right now? And you think about it, guys, like let's say you're 25 years old right now watching this. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff you wish you could tell the 21-year-old version of yourself. There's a lot of stuff I wish I could tell the 24-year-old version of myself. Hell, the 27-year-old version of myself, there's things I wish I could tell him. And so my idea with this question I asked myself was really to try and get myself to preemptively think like a more mature version of myself. And so I asked myself, what would the 32-year-old version of me want me to do right now? And the answer came back pretty clear, and it was like, you've got this one shot right now to make everything happen for your life. And basically everything that my life is going to be moving forward is really going to be defined by what I do over the next few years. And what do I mean by that? I mean that, if I build an exceptionally great business, my life's going to be defined by that. It'll be the business that I'm building for the rest of my life, or it'll be something I sell and that becomes my escape the matrix play where I'm worth 8 figures and now I'm just investing in properties, building, businesses that I just enjoy, but I'm financially free and secure. If I don't do that, then the rest of my life will be defined by a different quality of life. If I choose to get married right now, then that's something that's going to define the rest of my life, versus if I continue to improve myself and really get to the top level and see what that's like and then get married or something like that, then that's going to define my life. You know, if I go out and, you know, pursue big goals in my fitness life, that's going to define me. Essentially, I'm in the phase of my life, and some of you guys are here right now. Some of you guys will be there soon. It's kind of the phase that comes after the single and boring phase that I tell you about in the lonely chapter and all that kind of stuff. It's the phase where you build the big thing in your life that is going to define basically your legacy and what you're remembered for, and the idea of who you're going to be in life is really defined in this phase. And so this version of myself at 32 that I was talking to in this conversation told me, he said that my job right now in life is to build what my life will be defined by, and that I shouldn't be focused on permanent things. I shouldn't be thinking about wife and kids at this phase. It's not time for that. That would be a cash out move. What I need to do right now is basically just see what's possible for me, because in the end, if I don't do it now, I'm going to regret it. I'll be 35 years old thinking about what if I had actually gone and had a pro boxing fight? What if I had, you know, built that big supplement business that I was thinking about building? What if I had actually gone all in on building a YouTube channel and a personal brand around the LifeMaxxing ethos that I really live by? What if I had actually done all that stuff? And I'd be living with these what ifs, living a life that I'm not thrilled by. And so the 32-year-old version of me told me, he said, I will take care of the wife, the kids, the final things, kind of like the established phase, as long as you do your part right now. And I think this is a really important idea for you guys to understand, is that we have different like epochs of our lives, right? Different eras of our lives. There's an era where you have to build the foundations. There's an era where you have to build yourself into something massive. There's an era where you are the established person with a legacy and things like that. And you have to understand what phase of life you're in. I've talked about this in recent videos, but it's really important to understand this is like, you know, you're going to enter a phase of your life where you need to build something massive, where you need to go all in because all the pieces are in place. You've done the foundational stuff. You're not broke. You're not, you know, out of shape anymore. You're not mentally weak. All those kinds of things. You've taken care of that in your early 20s. You've done the work on yourself. You've figured yourself out a little bit. And now you've got all the pieces in place to make something massive happen in your life. And a lot of men, they miss this opportunity and they just cash out at this moment right after they've finally set themselves up to have a huge take off in their life. It's almost like if you were in the NBA and you retired right when you were about to get your max contract or something like that. And that's the phase that I'm in right now, is like, this is my max contract era. This is my prime moment of my life. 28 to 32 is going to define what my life is all about. And it's going to be the same for you. And so I want you to ask yourself that question. You need to ask yourself, what would my version of myself in 4 or 5 years want me to be doing right now? And get that clarity. Figure it out. For you, maybe you're at the bottom right now. You're not making much money. You're not in shape. He probably wants you to just get those basic things taken care of so that you can then take off and do bigger things later. I guarantee you he doesn't want you to crash out, cash out right now. He wants you to do something big. Maybe you have made some progress in your life and he wants you to really push it and see what you're capable of. Because here's the thing, guys, like, this is another thing my 32-year-old self told me. And this is literally like, it sounds like I'm having a conversation with another person, because that's how powerful this question is if you do it right. If you genuinely ask yourself this question in an honest way of like, okay, what would this older version of myself want me to do? You'll get an answer that feels like it's from someone else. Because for all intents and purposes, a version of you that is older exists right now. Because unless you die, some point you are going to be 5 years older. So you need to treat him like a real person. And so he was literally telling me, he's like, listen, like, you can buy a house, you can have a wife, you can have kids, you can do that later, right? I'm not a woman. I don't need to have kids in my late 20s, early 30s. I can do it at fucking 50 if I want to, right? I don't think I'm going to, but I could if I wanted to. And he was saying, like, listen, you don't need to be making these things the priority, because the thing that you can't go back and do later is you can't go back and build something huge for your life and follow these big dreams and goals you've had for yourself. You can't do that in 10 years if you built everything else instead. You can't just be married with kids and decide, I'm going to go on some crazy fitness arc, or I'm going to drop everything and go build a business. Like, the one opportunity is right now. I can't just drop everything if I've got kids and stuff like that and go take some big road trip with my friends all over America for a month. You see what I'm saying? Like, you have this opportunity, and this is what my 32-year-old self was telling me. He's like, this 4-year window is this opportunity to do what I say, which is life max, which is really see what's possible for your life. So what does that mean? It means, basically have epic stories, personal growth, see what you're capable of in life, do something that you would be proud of when your life is over. And so what does LifeMaxxing look like? LifeMaxxing looks like epic stories, hard work, personal growth, seeing what you're capable of in your life, leaving a legacy, being the kind of person that you can tell epic stories to your kids and grandkids and they're like, damn, my grandfather was an awesome guy. He did some cool shit. He didn't just work in a fucking cubicle his whole life and cash a check and do nothing and watch TV. He made something epic happen with his life, and that's the phase I'm in right now. I realized I was getting too comfortable. I needed to push myself. I feel like, it's hard sometimes because, honestly, I don't mean to say this to brag, but genuinely, on a daily basis, I don't see many people who are on my level, who are in the shape I'm in, who are making the money I'm making. And so it can get to this point where you're like, yeah, I'm doing pretty good. But then I realize there's this whole nother level that I haven't even tapped into. There are people all around the world who are just shitting on me. And it's not about trying to be the best of the best just for some ego's sake, but it's genuinely inspiring, guys. It's like you could do something epic with your life. And you don't need to feel bad about yourself if you're not driving a Bugatti or a Lamborghini or making millions and millions of dollars right now. But it's not about feeling bad about it if you're not doing that, but it's genuinely like, yo, that would be sick. That's how LifeMaxxing is. LifeMaxxing is not about shaming you for not being perfect or not being a top 1% alpha male. It's about just saying, hey, you could do that, so why the fuck not? What else are you going to do? We're all going to die at some point. Are you going to make something of your life? And so you're probably in an era of your life where you either need to lock in, stay single and boring and get the foundations done, or you're in a phase where right now you need to build something epic with your life. And so that is my challenge to you, is ask yourself, what would the version of myself in 4 or 5 years want me to be doing right now? Get that clarity on what that is, take care of it. And so what I'm going to go do now is I'm getting ready to go get this workout in. And when I'm done, we're going to talk about what's possible for men if they don't cash out, if they actually get their shit together, if they actually lock in, where could you get yourself at in life? And I'm going to talk about my plans and basically the direction of this channel and where things are going, what the brand's going to be about, what you're going to see, the things I'm focused on, hopefully motivate you some more. So let's get after it.
More money, more problems. Bring on the problems. Bring on the problems. Bring on the motherfucking problems. Hey. They say more money, more problems. Bring on the problems. Bring on the problems. Bring on the motherfucking problems. They say more money, more problems. Bring on the problems.
All right, guys, back from the gym. This is my first meal of the day. Ground beef, chickpeas. It's gonna be about 50 grams of protein. Right now, my goal, I'll put my physique up on screen right now. I'm probably high 13%, low 14% body fat. My goal is to get down to 10% by the end of the year. So I am on a cut right now, getting in about 200 grams of protein a day, 2,400, 2,600 calories, kind of depending on my activity level for the day. Now, getting into the topic that I said we were gonna cover after my workout, which was what is possible for men in their lives. Basically, if they take this approach of saying okay, what would this version of myself in 4 years want me to do? If I just didn't get impatient, if I actually did what I needed to focus on in this chapter of my life without, wanting to do things in the wrong order, and I actually was disciplined, and I actually just asked that question and just really went for it in life. Well, honestly, guys, that is pretty much what my plan here is to find out, is I want to find out what could you get done with your life if you just went for it? And that's what LifeMaxxing is really all about. It's really about just saying, I just want to leave it out there on the field. Because why the fuck not? We've got this one life, we're going to die. Why not go hard? Why not see a better way to live life? And so my suggestion to you, and I've told you guys this on the channel a number of times, I've shown that chart on screen with the red line, which represents the normie life path, and the blue line, which represents the outlier life path. And I've told you guys over and over again that it just hockey sticks. If you're on the outlier life path, your life's gonna hockey stick. It's gonna feel like you're losing for a while you're building those foundations, and then you're gonna get this opportunity where everything starts to pick up. And I am at the point where things are in a position where they can exponentially grow really fast for me. And so what does that look like? Well, I would tell you the big mistake a lot of people make is they view kind of figuring out the basics as having made it. They think that, okay, once I have an established career, once I have, I'm not fat anymore, once my mindset's not a complete disaster. It's like they think once they got those things taken care of, they got themselves an apartment or something like that. They think that once they have all those kinds of things, they've made it and now they're established. And I would tell you that you have only put yourself in a position to now establish yourself. And that is the place that I'm at in life. And so what does that look like? It looks like, epic kind of shit, right? You're not going to be able to do that 0.001% kind of stuff when you're down at the bottom. You just got to figure out the basics. But once you figure all that stuff out, the world opens up to you. For example, like I have a boxing coach because I can afford it. And so now I'm training to do a professional boxing fight by the time I'm 30. I invest in really quality food. I go to the nicest gym in my town. I reinvest in my business. I buy camera equipment so I can do videos like this. I do all this kind of stuff. I have like a level of control over my life because I've basically taken care of those foundations, and that opens you up to a situation where the world becomes your oyster genuinely. And so like some examples of what I'm focused on right now is basically like I just want to see just how great I can be, not in like a narcissistic way, but just genuinely because I've got this vision in my head of like what life could be if I genuinely just stopped fucking around pretty much. And I know you guys might not think I'm fucking around, but I just see this version of myself that I could be, and I'm like, I got a lot of work to do. You know what I'm saying? It's like things I'm focused on right now, like I said, getting down to 10% body fat. I want to do that. My goal is really, I call it aesthetic and dangerous when it comes to your physical training. I want to be aesthetic, have a very attractive, lean physique, and also know how to fight. And so I'm training boxing. And like I said, my goal is to do a professional fight by the time I'm 30. That's another one of these things that it's like you can't do that if you change up the timeline, right? My 32-year-old self telling me, hey, like this is your opportunity. You can't go try to do some professional athletics and just be like really a serious athlete or something like that at 36 with a kid, right? That's not possible. You got to do it right now, and this is the opportunity I have, and I want to seize that moment. So it's things like that. It's, doing the professional fight, learning how to fight really well, being in fantastic shape while I'm doing it, which I think is a dope combination. What would it be like if I took care of my appearance, right? If I like learned different things. I recently started getting like an eye serum so I can deal with the bags under my eyes. I've really improved my skincare routine. I've been working on these kinds of things. I've invested some money into my style. I'm getting ready to launch a supplement company. I've got this idea for a pre-workout, which is a product that I would actually use that I think a lot of you guys would like as well. I'll give more details on that as it goes along. It'll probably be something that we document the process of making here on the channel, because my goal with this kind of direction I'm taking the channel right now, it ties into what I'm talking about, really leaving it all out there on the field, is like, rather than just me yapping about some idea, I want to really build a strong community here with you guys who really fuck with the vision, right? I don't want to be massively famous, but I think it would be really dope if there were a couple 100,000 people subscribed to the channel who really believed in the vision. It was the kind of thing where if you saw me out, like it would be dope, and like I'd just be like a normal guy. I feel like I'm a pretty normal dude. Like every time I see my subscribers and things like that out, I'm pretty chill with them and happy to see them and stuff like that. I just think that would be really cool. And so I wanted to move into this more lifestyle kind of like vlog where I'm sharing ideas, but also sharing my kind of personality and just what I do on a daily basis, because I thought that'd be good for connection. And then I just think it's more engaging as well. Obviously, I'm still figuring it out. This might be boring as fuck for you. But anyways, that kind of goes back into this thing of like, I want to leave it all out there on the field. So we've got like the supplement company I'm building. We've got, I realized I had to let go of real estate, because real estate, like I'm still doing it, but I was like, I can't keep trying to grow real estate and grow this other thing because I'm chasing two rabbits at one time. And so real estate is this thing where I'm managing it without trying to force it to grow, just so it can continue to be the cash flow engine while I build the next thing. And that came down to, again, the 32-year-old version of me telling me like, hey, if by the time you're 32, if all you've accomplished is you're making like 20, 30 grand a month as a real estate agent, I'm going to be fucking pissed at you, genuinely. And you guys might think that's a lot of money, but compared to what's possible, again, this is about seeing what's possible. Am I going to feel like an epic failure if I'm not a fucking multi-millionaire at 32? No, but it's like, hey, why the fuck not? Why not go do it? Why not go do a pro fight? Why not be in fantastic shape? Why not be as handsome as possible? And so these are the kinds of things I'm working on. Why not max out my spiritual growth? Focusing on that. I've recently started going to an Orthodox church a little bit. Why not just basically max the fuck out of your life? That's what LifeMaxxing is about. Why not do cool traveling? Why not be in fantastic shape? Why not be aesthetic and dangerous? Why not build an epic business that you're proud of? Why not build a sick community and a personal brand? Why not do all these things, right? Why not get rich? Why not maximize your looks? Why not do these things? Why not learn about style? You know what I'm saying? Like, why not live differently? Because the average person doesn't even like their life to begin with. And that's really the vision of this channel. And that's the direction we're taking things moving forward, is really, I just want you guys to understand like this vision of LifeMaxxing. There's another way to live. And really, I want my story here on this channel to be an experiment, basically, to say like what is possible for somebody who just says, I want to see what I can do with my life for the next 4 years. How far can I take this thing? How far can I push it? And then I think I'll be ready to ride off into the sunset, truthfully. I'll probably be like, all right, I got a lot of shit done here. I'm not saying I'll vanish from the internet or something like that, but I'll be ready for the next chapter of my life at that point. And so that's what this channel is about now. The channel is going to be about just how far can you take things? How far can a man go? Just a normal guy. I'm not going to sit here and bullshit you guys like a lot of these guys on the internet and pretend like I'm a multi-billionaire who's banging supermodels all day like every fucking man on the internet's pretending. Like I'm a pretty successful guy for my age. I do decently well with women, but I just consider myself relatively a normal guy who just has a fuck ton of ambition and wants to do something excellent with his life. And so I want you guys to see what's possible, to hopefully inspire you, see the kinds of things I'm up to. And so that's the vision for the channel moving forward. I hope this is motivational to you. We'll still be like talking about cool ideas and things like that, but it's gonna be a lot more lifestyle stuff intertwined in there, showing you, the journey of building the boxing, of learning how to box and doing my amateur fights, then doing a pro fight, in the gym, building the business, see the behind the scenes of all this kind of stuff, put you on game with the style stuff I figure out, with the, just the mindset stuff, all that kind of stuff. I think this is going to be really dope for the channel. And so I'll leave you with this, guys. My challenge for you is that you see what I'm doing here and you don't watch it like a fucking voyeurist, right? So many people just watch their favorite creator on a TV and they just kind of sit back and jack off and do nothing, right? Like, I've known people like this all the time. They watch a fucking movie and they're not inspired by it. They just love watching the dancing monkey on the screen while they sit there and do fucking nothing. That's not why I'm making this shit. I hope it inspires you. I hope you want to keep up with the journey and all that stuff. But get the fuck off the couch and do this shit yourself, right? Because the same thing is true for you. If you're 25, if you're 30, if you're 40, it doesn't matter. Like, there's a version of you in the future that wants you to make something of yourself. And why don't you just see what's possible for you wherever you're at? Create a vision and just see what the fuck is possible if you really try to max it out. Figure out what that ideal version of yourself looks like and chase it down. Life max. You've got one shot at this. Do you want to be on your deathbed with a bunch of regrets? Or do you want to feel like you left it all in the field? You want to walk off like Kobe in his last game, dropping 60 points. He says Mamba out and he's fucking done, right? That's how you want to go out in this game, right? Leave it all in the fucking field, guys. And so that's my challenge to you guys. Go out there and make something of yourself. Start LifeMaxxing. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you in the next video.